Hello my friends and welcome back to Coffee Tea Paper. My name is Louise and today I have another ink by Ferris Wheel Press to share with you. Lapis Lullabies. I'm not going to say the French because this is my third take and I just don't think it was going very well. So I'll just read you the beautiful little poetic blurb on the box. Hush now, close your eyes and lay in the embrace of a bed of roses. Surrender to the soft lulls of slumber and wade through the wondrous oasis of your imagination, awaiting a stroke of inspiration to break your enchanting spell. Well, it sounds very romantic, doesn't it? So this ink, according to the box, the base is blue. It has a red sheen and a shimmer, which is referred to as champagne. So I'm very, very excited to try this ink. It also notes that the shading, the shading is low. So we're starting off with the usual ink testing by stamping the ink bottle outline, so I can fill that with some swatching of the ink. Now the insert I'm using here is still the lightweight paper by the Traveller's Notebook Company, and initially I was a little bit reserved about using this insert as an ink swatching booklet, but then I realized that a lot of the letter paper I use to write to my pen pals is either the Tomoe River or Life airmail paper, which is exactly this sort of very light weight. Got to save on those postage costs. So it's very interesting for me to see exactly the amount of either bleed through or in most cases ghosting with the various inks that I'm testing out in this insert. So thank goodness the lid was on very firmly, which was good, because unlike the other ink I tested the other day, the Jade Rabbit, this one didn't have a little plastic cap that sat on top. I think there might be a bit of a one inside the lid, but it's certainly not a separate one that you can put back on the top. So something to consider. Now I have since inked up my new TWSBI mini pen with this ink, and I have to say I did film it, but I made a complete mess. I didn't realize that the bottle was so full because it's a very dark bottle and it's a dark ink, and as I dipped my pen into it, there was a lot of overflow and how should we put it, some questionable language and reaction to that. So for the sake of you all, I have decided not to share that, but just know that fortunately the ink is water-based, and despite my desk looking like a hot mess, it cleaned up magnificently. So that was a very, very pleasant outcome of what could have been a huge disaster. Now I'm using my dip pen here. I'm a dip pen newbie, so I am only assuming that I'm not doing it very well, though this second attempt is definitely working better than my first one. This is the Kakamori stainless steel nib, and I gather that you can adjust the thickness or the weight of the line by adjusting the angle that you use the pen. So I'm still coming to grips, with that. So you'll just have to excuse my rather haphazard handwriting here on these pages. If you saw my other video looking at the Jade Rabbit ink, that has come down a lot thicker and a lot wetter than this ink, and because I'm not familiar with the pen yet, I can't actually comment if that's a characteristic of the ink or a characteristic of my poor application. In the meantime, I'm absolutely loving this ink. I don't normally do blue inks. I find them they can be quite tricky to read. I've always tended to gravitate towards black and dark brown inks, but this is really doing it for me. I'm loving the really rich navy blue black color with a slight teal where it's coming down lighter. The red sheen, it's not that obvious. Definitely not in the writing. It's just a little hint of it around the edges of the swatch in the ink bottle. So that's, I wouldn't get too hung up about the red aspect of it, but the champagne shimmer steals the show. And since writing a whole letter with it to one of my pen pals, that shimmer comes out beautifully. I used a 1.1 stub nib, and it's the business. So yeah, now when I last checked the website, they had currently sold out, but they do have a notification button that you can be notified when Ferris Wheel Press restock on their website. And of course, if you use my code CTP, you can get 10% off your order. So don't forget to do that if you're in the market for some ink. So here's a bit of a close-up to show you how it's actually gone down on the page. That shimmer, it's not quite gold, not quite silver, it's lush. And interestingly, despite the notes of blue and the red sheen, on the back it's come through quite green. So I think that might be the influence of that slight teal that comes through. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll hopefully bring you some more inks in the future. Bye!